I was less than 10 seconds from driving past her when she stepped into my lane and raised both hands like she wanted me to hit her. That's the part I still think about at night. Not the screaming, not the blood on her hands. It's the way she looked straight into my headlights like she didn't care if I stopped or not. My name's Lauren. I was 27 when this happened, driving home from a late shift at the animal hospital in a town called Ridgeway. It was early November, cold enough that my breath fogged the inside of my windscreen every time I exhaled. I usually took the highway, but that night there'd been an accident and the on-ramp was blocked. My GPS rerouted me down one of the old farm roads outside town. I wasn't worried. I grew up around there. I knew most of those roads by heart. There were no streetlights out that way, just dark fields and the occasional broken fence post. I turned the radio down, one hand on the wheel, the other resting near the heater vent to warm my fingers. I remember thinking about leftover pasta waiting in my fridge. Stupid, normal stuff. Then I saw her. At first, she was just a shape near the shoulder, a pale blur in my headlights. I thought it was a deer, maybe a trash bag caught on a branch. But then the shape moved. A woman stumbled forward, straight into my lane, lifting both arms. I slammed the brakes so hard my seatbelt locked across my chest. The car skidded a little on the cold asphalt and stopped a few feet in front of her. My heart was hammering. For a second, we just stared at each other through the glass. She looked about my age, maybe a little older, dark hair hanging in tangled curls around her face. No coat, just a thin t-shirt and jeans soaked to the knees with mud. Her hands were smeared with something dark. I told myself it was dirt. She rushed toward my window, mouth moving fast. "Please, please, you have to help me. My baby, she's in the road. She fell out. Please, please." Her voice was hoarse, broken from crying. I hit the button and lowered the window halfway. "What happened? Are you hurt?" I asked. "My baby," she sobbed, pointing down the road. She was in the car seat. I didn't buckle it right. The door opened. She fell out. I heard her scream, "Please, she's somewhere up there. She's tiny. You'll hit her in the dark. Please help me look." Behind her, the fields were just black emptiness. No crashed car, no stroller, no lights. My stomach tightened. "Where's your car?" I asked. Her eyes flicked away for a second. "Back there." It rolled into the ditch. "Please, we don't have time. She's bleeding. I can't find my phone. Just drive slowly with your lights, please." I heard it then. A faint, thin sound somewhere up ahead, like crying like a baby. It rose and fell in an even pattern that made my skin crawl. Almost too perfect. I looked at my phone. No signal. Of course, every instinct in me said something was wrong. No car, no other lights, no coat in this cold. There was something about the way she kept saying the same words over and over, like lines she'd practiced. "I'll call 911, I said. "We'll get an ambulance out here." "No." She screamed so loud it made me jump. Then she caught herself and lowered her voice. "Please, there's no time. She's so small, the cars will crush her. Just drive forward. I'll walk next to you. We can find her." The crying sound came again, a little louder now, drifting over the fields. I couldn't tell if it was in front of us or off to the side. The hair on my arms stood up. "Get in," I said finally. "We'll drive slow. If I see anything in the road, I'll stop. But I'm calling 911 while we move." "Okay." Something flashed in her eyes. Annoyance, anger. It was gone in a second. "Fine," she whispered. "Just hurry." She came around to the passenger side. I locked my door and unlocked hers with my hand still on the button. If she tried anything, I wanted to be able to lock her out again. She slid into the seat, breathing fast, hands shaking in her lap. The smell hit me right away. Wet clothes, sweat, something metallic underneath. I put the car in drive and started creeping forward at maybe 5 miles per hour. My high beams cut a narrow tunnel through the dark, empty road, nothing else. The baby cried again. "That's her," the woman whispered, leaning forward. "Keep going, please keep going." I dialed 911 with my thumb. No bars. The call wouldn't even try to connect. "Still no signal," I muttered. She didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on the road ahead, but not like a mother desperate to see her child. More like someone waiting for something to happen. We rolled forward, my tires crunching on grit at the edge of the asphalt. I kept scanning the ground for any small shape. There was nothing. The noise came again, louder now. I realized what was bothering me with it. It wasn't changing. Every baby cry I'd ever heard rose and fell. Different pitch, different volume. This one was exactly the same every time, like a recording. "Do you hear that?" I asked quietly. "Yes," she said. "That's my baby. Don't stop." Her fingers were digging into the seat so hard her knuckles looked white. Another cry echoed through the darkness. It was coming from the field now, off to the right. I slowed, heart pounding. If there really was a hurt child out there and I ignored it, I'd never forgive myself. But how would a baby get that far in a plowed field? And where was this woman's car? Were there any tire marks? "Which direction did you say your car went?" I asked. "In the ditch," she snapped. "Back there somewhere. It doesn't matter. Just turn on your lights, please." She grabbed my wrist then, squeezing hard, trying to push the steering wheel slightly toward the field. Her grip was wrong, too strong, too controlled for someone in panic. I pulled my arm back. "Don't touch the wheel," I said. Her eyes slid to my phone, still in my hand. For a second her face went blank, not sad, not scared, just flat. Then she smiled. It was small and wrong, like a child trying to copy someone else's expression. "You're one of the smart ones," she said quietly. Her voice sounded different now, colder. "Most people get out of the car by now." The crying sound looped again, exactly the same as before. She didn't even flinch. I slammed my foot on the gas. The car lurched forward. She grabbed the door handle, startled, but I was ready. My other hand hit the lock button and the doors clicked shut. "What are you doing?" she snapped. "Getting off this road," I said. She tried to grab the wheel again. I jerked it away, the tires bumping against the center line. My hands were slick with sweat. "If you don't stop, I'll say you kidnapped me," she hissed. "I'll say you left my baby to die. Who do you think they'll believe?" Her voice made my skin crawl. "Calm, too calm. You can explain it to the police," I said. From outside my car, up ahead, I saw a small gravel pull-off where two farm roads crossed. I slammed on the brakes there and threw the car into park in one motion. "Get out," I said. She stared at me. For a second, I thought she was going to attack me. Then something in her expression shifted again, like she'd taken off a mask. "Fine," she whispered. She opened the door, stepped out into the dark, and leaned down to look at me through the open window. "You should have seen what was in the field," she said softly. "Some people don't get second chances." Then she walked toward the black line of trees like she knew exactly where she was going. No stumbling now, no crying, just steady steps until my headlights couldn't reach her anymore. The crying sound cut off, like someone hit stop on a speaker. I locked the doors, floored it, and didn't stop until I reached the main highway 20 minutes later, where my phone finally lit up with 3 full bars. I called 911 and told them everything. They sent a car out to check. The officer who called me back said they found the pull-off. They drove the road both ways. No woman, no car in a ditch, no tracks in the field, no speaker, nothing. He asked me twice if I'd been drinking. I hadn't. I quit the night shifts a month later. And now whenever I see someone standing by the side of a dark country road waving their arms, I keep driving. Maybe that makes me a bad person. Maybe all I know is that whatever was on that road with me that night, it wasn't a mother looking for her baby. It was something looking for me. I noticed the car because it didn't move. This was not the case when I came out of work. Not when I dropped my keys. Not when I pretended to go back inside the store just to see if it would drive away. It stayed there, engine off, headlights dark, just sitting at the far corner of the parking lot where the lights didn't reach. "My name's Chris. I work nights at a 24-hour supermarket off Highway 61 in a place called Norwood Crossing." I was the individual who attended to the shelves, promptly cleaned up spills, and exchanged nods with the same 3 customers who purchased beer at 2 a.m. every Thursday. It wasn't a glamorous job, but it was quiet. Safe, I thought. The night the incident happened, it was late January. The kind of cold that bites at your nose the second you step outside. We had freezing rain earlier, and now the whole parking lot glistened under the lamps, patches of black ice hiding under thin layers of slush. My shift ended at 1:00 a.m. exactly. I clocked out, grabbed my backpack from the tiny break room, and walked toward the front doors. Through the glass, I could see my car, a battered silver sedan, parked under one of the lamps closest to the store. And at the very far end of the lot, where the light didn't quite reach, I saw it, a dark SUV. No lights, no movement, just there. That wasn't unusual. Sometimes truckers or fatigued drivers would park for a while to nap. But something about this one bothered me. It was angled slightly, like it had pulled into the spot too fast, with the front end pointing just a little toward my car. The automatic doors slid open and the cold air rushed in. I stepped out, pulling my jacket tighter, the hum of the store's heaters fading behind me. I heard the click of the doors locking as the last coworker left for the night. I waved at Tasha, the night manager, as she headed to her car on the opposite side of the lot. She called something about the ice, but the wind swallowed half her words. I started walking toward my car, keys between my fingers, breath puffing white in front of me. The SUV didn't move. I told myself I was being stupid. Urban legends, TikTok videos, true crime podcasts, they all train you to see monsters in every shadow. Still, halfway to my car, I remembered I'd left my wallet in my locker and turned back. I re-entered the store using my employee code, stood in the dark entryway, and peeked through the glass like I was watching a movie. The SUV was still there, but now I could see something else. The faint blue glow of a phone screen just for a second lights up a face behind the windscreen. Too far to see clearly. Just a pale oval floating in the dark interior, the hair on my neck lifted. I could go ask Tasha for a walkout, I thought, but she'd already driven off. I'd watched her taillights leave the lot while I was turning back. The store was closed, lights dimmed except for the entry. For a minute, I stood there with my hand on the inside handle, trying to decide if I was being paranoid or smart. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text from my mom. Home yet? Roads might be icy. Drive slow. Blue heart. I stared at it and felt stupid. I was a grown man afraid of a parked car. Okay, I muttered. Get over yourself. I walked back out, this time heading straight for my sedan. The rubber soles of my shoes squeaked slightly on the wet pavement. I kept my eyes on the ground, then forced myself to glance up casually as if I wasn't worried. The SUV hadn't moved. No headlights, no engine noise, just that same dark shape. I unlocked my car, opened the door, and slid inside. The interior smelt like old fries and cheap air freshener. I tossed my bag on the passenger seat, locked the doors out of habit, and started the engine. My headlights flicked on, washing the space in front of me with light. For a second, the SUV's windows reflected it back, turning into mirrors. I couldn't see inside. See, I told myself. Probably just some trucker sleeping. I put the car in reverse, checked my mirrors, and backed out slowly. As I turned to pull toward the lot exit, my headlights swept across the SUV's front. That's when I saw the license plate. It was covered, but not with dirt, with something taped over it. A rectangle of cardboard neatly fixed in place. A chill ran through me that had nothing to do with the icy air. I pulled out anyway, heart beating a little faster, and turned toward the exit that led to the highway. The SUV still didn't move. I told myself I was almost on the main road. Bright lights, cameras, other cars. I turned right onto the access road that curved around the side of the shopping center before joining the highway. That's when the headlights appeared in my rearview mirror. Bright, white, sudden. I watched as the SUV rolled smoothly out of the lot, turned the same way I had, and followed at a steady distance behind me. My stomach dropped. Okay, I whispered. Maybe he just lives this way. I drove normally. The road was mostly empty, just the faint glow of a hopping center in the distance. I signaled for my turn at the highway ramp. So did the SUV. The distance between us didn't change. Not close enough to be tailgating, not far enough to ignore. I merged onto the highway, staying in the right lane. The SUV merged behind me, keeping that same careful few car-length space. I checked my phone. 1 bar. Emergency calls only. The next exit sign flashed past, 2 miles to the next off-ramp. I thought about pulling off at the gas station I knew was there. Bright lights, security cameras, people. If he followed me in, I'd know it wasn't a coincidence. I signaled right and I moved into the exit lane. So did he. My mouth went dry. I slowed for the ramp. Tires were hissing on the wet pavement and my heart was hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. The gas station came into view, a dull yellow oasis at the edge of the dark. At the last second, I changed my mind. Just before the ramp split, one fork toward the station, the other back onto the highway. I jerked the wheel and merged back onto the highway almost too fast. My tires skidded on a thin film of ice. The back end of the car was fishtailing slightly before the traction control caught. In my mirror, I saw the SUV swerve. For a split second, it looked like it might follow me back onto the highway. But the driver corrected too late. The SUV shot past the split and down toward the gas station exit instead. I didn't wait to see if he turned around. I stayed on the highway. I did not go home. Instead, I took the next exit into town, drove straight to the police station, and sat in the lot with my hands shaking on the wheel until I could trust myself to speak. Inside, the officer at the front desk listened patiently while I told him everything. The dark SUV, the covered plate, the following, the sudden exit. "Did they ever get close enough for you to see the driver?" he asked. "No," I said. "They were always just there." He wrote some notes, taking down the time, the location, and what little I could remember about the SUV. Dark color, maybe gray or black, midsize, no visible damage. "We'll check the cameras near the market," he said. "And we'll have patrol cars swing by the lot for the next few nights. It could be nothing. It could be someone testing reactions. Either way, you made the right decision by not going straight home." I nodded, but his words didn't help much. That was 6 months ago. I still work nights. I still park under the same lamp. However, each time I leave, I first scan the distant end of the parking lot. Most nights, it's empty. On nights when the lot is not empty, if I see a dark shape beyond the reach of the lights, I don't pretend I forgot my wallet. I go back inside, and I wait. Because occasionally, the scariest thing on the road isn't the car that speeds up behind you. It's the one that already knew where you'd be. "Don't look back. Whatever you do, just drive." That's the first thing she said to me when she got into my car. No hello, no address, no small talk. Just those words in a low, shaking voice that made something deep in my chest go cold. "My name's Jordan. I drive for a rideshare app in a city called Clearwater Ridge. It's one of those in-between places, not quite big enough to be a proper city, not small enough to call itself a town anymore. We have malls, hospitals, 3 high schools, a college, and way too many people who think the rules don't apply to them. I work nights because the pay is better and the roads are emptier. Weekends are my busiest. That night was a Sunday, just after midnight. The streets were wet from an earlier rain, reflecting the traffic lights like melted neon. I just dropped off a couple outside a nightclub and was about to go offline when another request popped up. Pick up, 0.3 miles away, name, Hannah. Rating 4.9. Last one, I muttered, accepting it. The pin was dropped near a row of old brick buildings on the edge of downtown. During the day, it was all lawyers' offices and boring accounting firms. At night, the whole block went dark except for one 24-hour pharmacy and a flickering street lamp. I pulled up to the pen and saw her standing there under the light. She was young, maybe in her early 20s, wearing jeans and an oversized hoodie with the hood up. No bag, no coat. Her hands were shoved deep in her pockets, shoulders hunched. The second she saw my car, she moved fast, yanked open the back door and slid in, slamming it shut behind her. Hannah?" I asked, checking the app. "Yeah," she said, voice tight. "Please drive." I glanced at the screen. "No destination." I said, "You can type it in or tell me. Just go," she hissed. "Straight, please." I hesitated for half a second, then I put the car in drive and pulled away from the curb. Her breathing was loud in the quiet car. Shallow, fast. I could see her in the rearview mirror, eyes wide, constantly flicking to the back window. "Are you okay?" I asked. "If someone else bothering you, I can't." "Don't look back," she whispered. Not yet. Something in her tone made me listen. We drove 3 blocks in silence. The city got emptier with every light we passed. Houses replaced office buildings. Streetlights stretched further apart. Left at the next light, she said suddenly. Then just keep going. I turned left. The neighborhood shifted from cheap apartments to old, tired houses with peeling paint and overgrown yards. I knew the area. It wasn't the safest, but it wasn't the worst either. You want me to head toward the highway? I asked. Yes, she said. Farther away. I swallowed. Are you running from somebody? I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she leaned forward suddenly, her face close to the gap between the front seats. I could see now how pale she was under the streetlight's glow. Blonde hair tucked messily into the hood, dark circles under her eyes like she hadn't slept in days. Do you see a black SUV? She asked. Anywhere behind us? I almost looked, but the way her fingers dug into the back of my seat stopped me. You told me not to look back, I said carefully. I know, she whispered. You'll hear it before you see it, if it's there. I didn't like that. Listen, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. If you're in some kind of trouble, I can drive you to the police station. Or a hospital, or we can call. No police, she said quickly. Please, not yet. My stomach twisted. Everything about this felt wrong, but nothing she'd done was technically against any rule. She was just a scared girl asking for a ride. I kept driving. The road turns into a long straight stretch after Maple Street. On one side, there's a row of storage units. On the other, an empty field where they keep saying they'll build something and never do. After midnight, it might as well be another planet. It was quiet for a few minutes. Just the hum of my engine and the swish of the tires over rough pavement. Then, faint at first, I heard it, an engine, not mine, deeper, throatier, coming from behind. Hannah heard it too. She stiffened like someone had pulled a string through her spine. That's him, she whispered. Floor it. My heart jumped into my throat. Who? I asked, even though I already knew the answer. She didn't respond. Just gripped the back of my seat harder. In the mirror, without fully turning my head, I saw the glow of headlights cresting a small rise behind us. Bright, white, moving fast. I pressed the gas pedal down. My little car wasn't built for speed, but it tried. The engine whined as we picked up pace, racing down the empty road. The headlights behind us got closer. 10 car lengths. 8, 5. I could feel my hands shaking. Hannah, if this guy's stalking you, we have to... He's not stalking me, she said. He owns me. The words were so quiet I almost didn't hear them. What does that mean? I demanded. Her silence said enough. The SUV's headlights were right behind us now, flooding the interior with harsh light. It honked once, long and angry. Right here, Hannah said suddenly. Turn right now. There's nothing there, I said. It's just now, she screamed. I yanked the wheel, tires skidding a little on loose gravel as we turned onto a narrow side road I'd almost missed. It was barely more than a lane and a half wide, with thick trees on either side like a tunnel. The SUV followed. He's going to hit us, I muttered. He's going to ram us off the road. No, Hannah said quietly. He won't damage the car, it would leave marks. What car? I snapped. His, yours, she said. A shiver ran through me. I don't know this guy, I said. She gave a bitter, humorless laugh. Neither did I, she said. Not at first. Something flashed up ahead, a sign I barely caught with my headlights. Dead end 500 FT. There's nowhere to go, I said. This road ends. Good, she whispered. He doesn't think you'll risk it. The dead end came into view. A circle of gravel with a thin line of trees and a steep drop into a creek just beyond. I braked hard, turning the wheel at the last second so we skidded into the curve sideways, stopping with my front bumper inches from the muddy edge. The SUV screeched to a stop behind us, blocking the only way out. For a moment, everything went very, very still. Get out, I said. I'll hit reverse. He'll run you off the edge, Hannah said. He's done it before. Not with water, with other things. Walls, poles. He knows how to crash someone without killing them, just breaking them. How do you know that? I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, the back door on her side opened. I hadn't unlocked it. A man leaned down, his face in shadow. I could see a heavy coat and a thick wristwatch glinting in the light from my dashboard. His voice was smooth, almost gentle. All right, sweetheart, he said. That's enough fun for one night. Get out of the nice man's car. Every hair on my body stood up. "Sir," I said, my voice shaking, "I'm calling the police." "No, you're not," he said calmly. "Not with that little battery. You should really charge it more often." I glanced at my phone. 3% battery glowed in the corner. He'd seen it somehow. "Come on, Hannah," he continued. "You know how this goes. You run, I catch you." He disappeared. "Let's not make the man late for his next pickup." Her hand brushed my shoulder through the seat, just once, a quick, light touch. "I try to be a hero," she whispered. "He'll win. He always wins." I didn't know what to do. Run into the trees, try to ram his SUV. Sit and wait. My chest felt tight, my vision tunneled, and then something in me snapped. I threw the car into reverse. The man's arm shot forward, hand grabbing the edge of Hannah's hoodie. She screamed, trying to pull free as I slammed my foot onto the gas. The car jerked backward, straight toward the SUV. The man lost his grip and stumbled, one hand smacking hard against my rear window. I didn't slow down. The impact when my bumper hit his SUV wasn't as bad as I expected. A loud crunch, a jolt through my bones, and the sound of plastic and metal protesting. I yanked the wheel, scraping along the side of his vehicle, squeezing past with inches to spare. His door flew open, and I caught a glimpse of his face in my side mirror, middle-aged, clean-shaven, eyes flat and cold. He didn't look angry. He looked amused. We shot back down the narrow road, my tires throwing gravel. In the mirror, the SUV turned slowly, like he wasn't in any hurry at all. "Police station," I gasped. "I'm taking you there. I don't care what you say." She didn't argue. The station was 10 minutes away. It felt like an hour. Every time headlights appeared behind us, my heart jumped. But none of them was the black SUV. I screeched into the lot, parked crooked across 2 spaces, and ran inside with Hannah right behind me. I don't know what I expected. Sirens, immediate action, some detective to jump up and say, "We've been looking for this guy for years." Instead, we got a tired desk sergeant who listened patiently, took notes, and asked us to repeat ourselves more than once. Hannah wouldn't give her last name, wouldn't say where she lived. She wouldn't say how long she'd known him. Just that he'd been following her for a long time. When they asked if she wanted to file for a protective order, she laughed. "You don't understand," she said softly. "Pieces of paper don't stop him." They kept her for a while, asked if she needed somewhere safe to go, offered to call a hotline. She finally gave them a fake-sounding relative's address. They let her sit in the lobby until a patrol car drove her home. They took my statement too. Wrote down the partial plate number I thought I'd seen, color, make, the general area. Then they asked the question I'd been dreading. "Do you want to press charges for the damage to your car?" I thought about the crushed rear bumper, the scraped paint. I thought about the way he'd spoken. Calm, polite, amused, and I heard Hannah's voice again in my head. "He always wins." "No," I said finally. "I just want to go home." They let me. I sold my car 3 months later, got something older, cheaper, with no identifying stickers and no dents. I stopped driving for the app. Sometimes when I'm out late and an SUV pulls in behind me, my hands still go cold on the wheel. I don't know if I would recognize his face again, but I know I'd recognize his voice. And if I ever hear it behind me in a dark car saying, "All right, sweetheart," I won't look back. I'll drive straight to the nearest crowded place, and I won't stop until there are witnesses. Because some people don't need weapons to hurt you. They just need you to think no one will believe you. I was less than a mile from my destination when the GPS map turned completely blank. No streets, no marker, just my little blue arrow floating in a gray void like the road had never been there at all. My name's Marie. I'm a home health nurse in a county called Alderbrook. Most of my patients are elderly people who live too far from town to make regular trips to the clinic. I drive a lot. Farm roads, dead ends, and long gravel paths that look like they lead to nowhere until a house suddenly appears. I don't scare easily. The night this happened, I was covering a last-minute visit for a coworker. A new patient, Mr. Porter, age 79, recovering from surgery, lives out near the river. That's all the paperwork said. I called the number on the file around 6 p.m. A man with a thin, reedy voice answered. Hello. Hi, this is Marie, the nurse. I'm scheduled to visit tonight to check your incision. Oh yes, he said. Yes, of course, it's late though. I can come earlier tomorrow if you'd prefer, I offered. No, he said quickly. Tonight is fine, just follow your navigation. The turn is easy to miss. If you get lost, call me back. He gave a small chuckle that didn't sound particularly amused. I left the clinic at 8:30 p.m. The sky was already fully dark, a low mist hanging over the fields. My dashboard clock glowed softly as I followed the GPS out of town, past the gas station, past the closed garden center, onto narrower and narrower roads. You'll arrive in 17 minutes, the calm voice announced. I turned onto Hollow Creek Road, then onto a smaller lane called Old Ferry. The pavement turned to packed dirt and gravel, my tires crunching as I bounced along. It was one of those roads that looked like it had been carved out of the woods, just wide enough for one vehicle. Trees crowded close on both sides, branches forming a tunnel overhead. My headlights caught bits of old fence line and the occasional mailbox leaning at odd angles. Turn right in 300 feet, the GPS said. I squinted through the windshield. There was no road, not yet, just more trees and darkness. Then at the last second I saw it, a narrow opening in the trees, no sign, no gravel, just two faint tracks of bare earth disappearing into the woods. You've arrived, the GPS announced cheerfully. Destination is on your right. Great, I muttered. Real helpful. I eased into the opening, branches scraping against the sides of my car. The road sloped slightly downward, twisting as it went. My headlights bounced across trunks and brush. The GPS map froze. Then the street names vanished, just my arrow sliding into gray. Rerouting, the voice said. Rerouting. Then nothing. The screen went blank. My stomach clenched. Okay, I whispered. Just a glitch. It happens. I kept going. Turning around on that narrow path would be hard. Besides, Mr. Porter was expecting me. After a minute, through the trees, I saw a light, a single yellow square floating in the dark. As I got closer, the house came into view. A small, old-fashioned place with a sagging porch and chipped white paint, sitting in a clearing surrounded by pines. One lamp was on in a front window. No other houses nearby, no other lights. I pulled up as close as I could without driving into the wet grass, killed the engine, and grabbed my bag. The night slammed into me when I opened the door. Heavy, quiet, no crickets, no wind, just the soft tick of my cooling engine. The front steps creaked under my weight. I knocked on the door, nothing. I waited a few seconds and knocked again, louder, still nothing. Mr. Porter, I called. It's Marie, the nurse. We spoke on the phone. For a long moment there was just silence, then I heard it. Slow, dragging footsteps inside. Coming toward the door, the knob turned with a metallic squeal and the door opened a few inches, held in place by a security chain. A face appeared in the gap. An old man, thin gray hair slicked back, deep lines around his eyes and mouth. His eyes were pale, almost milky, but focused. Yes, he said. Mr. Porter, I asked. He tilted his head slightly. Who else would I be? He replied. I forced a small smile. I'm here to check your incision and vitals. From Alderbrook Home Health, he blinked slowly. Then he closed the door. I stood there, confused. A second later, I heard the chain slide and the door opened fully. Come in, he said. It's cold. The air inside smelled like dust and old wood. The hallway was narrow, lined with faded pictures in dark frames. The only light came from the lamp in the front room, casting long shadows. He led me into a small sitting room, a couch, a reclining chair, and a coffee table with neatly stacked newspaper clippings. A floor lamp glowed next to the chair. Sit, he said, lowering himself carefully into the recliner with a soft groan. I don't move as fast as I used to. I unpacked my equipment. How's the pain? I asked. Any fever, dizziness? Pain's always there, he said. Can't remember what it's like without it. Fever, no. Dizziness. Sometimes at night. His voice sounded exactly like it had on the phone, thin, tired. "Can I see your incision?" I asked. He unbuttoned his shirt slowly, revealing a bandage across his abdomen. Fresh but dry, it looked okay from what I could see. "Light any better now?" he asked suddenly. I glanced up, confused. "Sorry, the light," he repeated, nodding toward the window. "It was darker when you came in." I looked. The window showed nothing but black. "Seems the same, sir," I said. He hummed softly, like he'd expected that answer. As I worked, taking his temperature and checking his blood pressure, I noticed little things. No TV, no radio, just the old clock ticking on the wall, no sounds from other rooms. No family photos, only landscapes and buildings I didn't recognize. "How long have you lived out here?" I asked, mostly to fill the silence. "Long enough," he said. I waited for more. There was none. I finished my notes and retaped the bandage. "Everything looks good," I said. "You're healing well. I'll make sure they schedule another visit for next week." He nodded slowly. "You drove alone?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "Along the creek road." I followed my GPS, I said. "It kind of stopped working at the end there." He chuckled. The sound made my shoulders tighten for some reason. "They don't like maps," he said. "Who does?" I asked before I could stop myself. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and for a second his pale eyes seemed much sharper than before. "The ones who walk between places," he said quietly. "They prefer roads nobody remembers. Easier to catch people that way." A chill crawled up my spine. "You mean people get lost out here?" I tried to joke. "Sometimes," he said. "Sometimes they think they're just taking a shortcut. Sometimes they think they're following an old man's address." He smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "What do you mean?" I asked. He tapped the arm of his chair with his knuckles. "What time is it?" I glanced at my watch. 9:23, he nodded. "They'll be close then." "Who?" I asked, my voice a little too high. He tilted his head toward the window. "The ones who don't exist on your little screen," he said. "You should leave now, Nurse Marie. You're kind. They like that." I swallowed hard. "Do you want me to call someone, maybe a family member?" "No family," he said. "Just roads, lots of them." I packed my bag with shaky hands and stood. "I'll see you next week," I managed. "If the road wants you to," he said. He followed me to the door. As he opened it, cold air rushed in, sharper than before. The tree line seemed closer somehow. "The clearing is smaller." My car sat where I'd left it, alone in the dark. "Stop," he said softly. "Whatever you see, they can't get in if you don't stop." My heart hammered. "You're scaring me, Mr. Porter." He gave a small, sad smile. "Good," he said. "Maybe you'll listen." I practically ran to my car, unlocked it with fumbling fingers, and slid inside. The engine started on the first try, thank God. My headlights hit the trees, making them look like a wall. The GPS screen was still gray. No roads, no arrow. I put the car in reverse, turned carefully, and started back up the path. Branches scraped the sides like fingers. Halfway up the slope, something moved between the trees, just a flicker at the edge of my vision. A pale shape, keeping pace with my car. Then another, and another. Shadows that didn't quite look like people but didn't look like animals either. I drove faster. They kept up. Every time I tried to look directly at them, they seemed to melt into the darkness. But I felt them, watching, waiting. The path curved. The trees thinned, and then suddenly I was back on Old Ferry Road. Just like that, like nothing weird had happened at all. The GPS blinked. Turn left onto Hollow Creek. It said cheerfully, the map repopulating with lines and labels. "You will arrive in 22 minutes. I drove all the way back to town with my hands clenched on the wheel, checking the mirrors every few seconds. Nothing followed me, no strange lights, no shadows. At home, I looked up Porter, Alderbrook County in the system to file my notes. No result. I tried the patient ID number. Record not found. I called the clinic the next morning. The supervisor checked. "We don't have a Mr. Porter on active file," she said. "Are you sure you didn't misread the name?" "I still have the printout they gave me. His name, his age. The address is on Old Ferry at Prince Fine. It just doesn't exist in the system anymore. I don't take new patients on unmarked roads now. If the GPS map turns blank, I turn around. Maybe I left a confused old man alone in a house in the woods. Or maybe that's what the road wanted me to think."